Robin. How you doing tonight? My name's Lee Stranahan. I'm the host of the show The Backstory, which is on Radio Sputnik, Russian-funded media. You can check me out on my Twitter feed. My last name, Stranahan, @Stranahan on Twitter. Also on a website called vk.com, which I don't think is going to be deleted anytime soon. And I'm also at Citizen Journalism School and Populist TV on YouTube. And I wanted to do a very concise explanation of the Ukrainian Nazi issue, because I've been covering this story for about 4 years, well before the war. And everything I've seen and been reporting on for 4 years now on my radio show and in my occasional writing has confirmed. And I'm also in a film called Revealing Ukraine, executive produced by Oliver Stone, that you can find. It's tricky to find now, but I'm in that film talking about some of these issues going back years. And I want to explain them. Let me explain first. And I'm going to do a very methodical approach and quick, and I'm hoping you share it. By the way, if you're not following me on YouTube already, please hit subscribe and ring that bell so you'll be notified when I do new videos like this. But let me explain what part of the confusion is. If you're just getting into this story, it's complex and confusing and has a lot of history that you don't know about, but that's all independently verifiable. And by independently, I mean I'm not going to refer you to my own reporting or to RT or Sputnik or other Russian-funded media. I'm going to refer you to sites like The Village Voice, for instance, and you can do your own research. But let me explain the confusion. When Vladimir Putin is out there talking about Banderites, I know what he means because I've been covering this story for 4 years and really studying it, spending a lot of time researching for 4 years. But most people haven't done that. So when they hear Vladimir Putin say Bandera or denazification or Nazis, it may sound a little wacky to them. So what I've done is I want to show you, I've written stuff out here. And if you look at these numbers, this is a sentence that I posted on Twitter recently, trying to summarize what the issue is not and what it is. And the numbers, the reason I put the numbers up there is those, each one of those is, if we're breaking down the argument, is an individual claim. And the claim's truth or falsity can be verified by you doing your own research. I'll send you in the right direction. But I want to point out, and this is one of the reasons I talk to people, I'm one of the few journalists I know who engages in dialogue. And I'll admit, occasionally I lose my patience and I can get a bit salty. I'll admit that. But I'm one of the only journalists I know who talks to people. And if people talk to me respectfully, all I mean is by not calling me a liar or a shill, and just ask a question, I'll always answer it. And I know very few journalists who do that. And by the way, even if you're kind of a dick, I may still try talking to you, but I may get salty. So that's a warning there. One of the reasons I engage in those conversations with people is that it helps me sharpen my arguments. And I've realized two things that come up about this Nazi issue that people get wrong because they're not the argument being made. Nobody is arguing. Nobody. Vladimir Putin, me, nobody. And I was making this argument independently of ever hearing Vladimir Putin say the word Banderite. Never heard him say it. But me researching it, one argument that is not being made is that there's a couple of Nazis in Ukraine. Oh, see, there's a Nazi. No, yeah, and people say, well, there are Nazis in America, in Russia, all over. Yes. I'm going to explain what the argument is in a second, and it's not that there's a couple of Nazis. Conversely, but related, the other side of the same coin, the argument is not that Zelensky, the president of Ukraine is a Nazi, or that everybody in Ukraine is a Nazi. Nobody's saying that. So what are we saying? And this is where I'm going to read what I wrote. And I'm going to read it without the numbers here. The argument is that neo-Nazis who are followers of the racist Banderite Ukrainian nationalist philosophy, I'll explain that in a second, gained political power after the 2014 coup, the Maidan coup, backed by Soros and the U.S. State Department, CIA, and that group of neo-Nazis has led ethnic cleansing in the Donbass region. That's what the argument is. So let's start with point one, which is neo-Nazis. Now, you can independently verify this very easily a number of ways. Type in Azov Battalion, AZOV Battalion. You're on your own on that one. And but it's a simple word, kind of. Look up Azov Battalion Ukraine. Look into them. You'll see they're not just a neo-Nazi right-wing militia. They're actually part of the Ukrainian government. It would be as though the United States had a KKK division of the Marines. These guys are neo-Nazis. You'll see the pictures of them and everything else. But the significant thing is not that they exist, because if they were just a right-wing militia, are there Klan members in the Marines? Probably. That's my guess. My guess, I'd be shocked if something as big as the Marine Corps, there's nobody racist in there. But the significant thing here is they're literally part of the government. Go look that up. So that's point one. Point two is they're followers of the racist Banderite Ukrainian nationalist philosophy. Now, Putin's used this word. You may not know who Stefan Bandera is or what the Ukrainian nationalists, because you may be thinking to yourself, well, I like nationalism. These guys aren't nationalists in a way you probably like. They want racially pure Ukrainians, and they're very explicit about this. And these neo-Nazis are followers of this guy, Stefan Bandera. And the best article you can find on that, let me just show you. Is go to your web browser and type in "To Catch a Nazi," Village Voice, and you'll find this article written in 1986 that talks about a guy named Mykola Lebed. Uncle Louis, the CIA called him. Mykola Lebed was a literal Nazi collaborator that the CIA was supporting. He died in Pittsburgh. He was a war criminal. And this article, written in 86, and one of the reasons I like it, it has nothing to do with justifying Putin. This is when the Soviet Union was still a thing. Read this article because it also does a great job of explaining who Bandera was and what his relationship was to the U.S. State Department, CIA, and the British MI6, the Brits as well. So I recommend people to that article, To Catch a Nazi, Village Voice, and it's a great detailed article that won't take you more than 15 minutes to read. But take the 15 minutes and you'll understand who the Banderites are. Now these guys, the Azov Battalion, there's other groups over there, Right Sector, the Svoboda Party. You'll sometimes find those. C14. Look up those groups. But that's the second claim, that they were followers of a racist, and you'll see it is racist, Banderite Ukrainian nationalist philosophy. The third point here is that they gained political power. Now, while there's not a lot of them, there's enough of them where they gained political power. And part of their power was not just that they got into the official military, but they've also stopped a ceasefire from happening because they're trying to ethnically cleanse eastern Ukraine of Russian speakers and Jews who they don't like. By the way, the Crimea, one of the reasons Crimea split off in 2014, go look up Crimea Jews. Go look that up. You'll see these Nazis said, we're going to go down to Crimea and cleanse that area. And the people in Crimea were like, we don't want to have any part of this, so we'll rejoin with Russia, where we'll be safe. Go look into that, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Look into Crimea Jews. You'll see. That explains part of that people get confused about. Now, I want to point out here that was the next thing we need to prove, which is that they gained political power. That's all over the place. You can find. And one of the best ways, I think, to find that now is there's a guy from a group called C14 who said, basically, we were the muscle that, he said the Maidan would have been a fruit parade, which is a homosexual slur. He meant fruit in a schoolyard way. He said, we're the ones who like killing. You can find that video out there, C14, you'll find it. Okay? He said that recently. So they gained political power, and part of the way they use that political power is to stop the ceasefire, and they like killing. So the next point is the coup was backed by the USA and Soros, and there's lots of ways to find that out. George Soros is not a side player or just a name I'm throwing in as a boogeyman. Look up George Soros International Renaissance on YouTube, on the internet, anywhere. You'll find George Soros was the single biggest funder of NGOs, non-government organizations. And literally, there was like a TV network called Hormatska that went up the day the Maidan started in 2013. It was funded by the CIA. It was funded by Sweden in part, and Soros. Go look that up. Don't take my word. Go look up what George Soros himself says about International Renaissance. He's by far, he funded he was like an incubator, if you know that term, from NGOs in Ukraine. So it's not a boogeyman word. Go look it up. If you don't know anything about it, I understand that. Because as that Village Voice article shows, I want you to understand, there's been a decades long, since the 50s, the CIA and the State Department have been working with Ukrainian Nazis. That's what's in that article. And one of the things they've done is tried to hide it from the American public. They want to keep it secret because people who are American, like you, like me, probably. I'm definitely an American. I'm saying you. Probably an American. Do you like the idea of the CIA and the State Department working with Nazi war criminals? You don't, right? Particularly vicious murderers who kill people in the most disgusting ways you can imagine. Hang on one sec. I said I'd keep this short. I'm not sure what that is. Hello? Yes? Okay, just hit the apartment number there, and I'll buzz you in. Okay. Are you? If you're on the left-hand side, the left door, there's a keypad. You can type in the apartment number. Go do that. Okay. It's the door that's on the left. Okay? Bye. See, I ordered food, and it's here now, but the guy doesn't know how to get up, so I had to help him. So let me end this. I'm almost done. Sorry about that, but a man's got to eat. So, and I don't drive. Then this group of racist Nazis are the ones who led the ethnic cleansing. And partially because they're Nazis. The guy figured it out. Hang on. Okay, so now I got to go get my food. But anyway, I love you guys. Hopefully this very methodical, aside from the food coming at the end there. I told you I had to keep it short, but I didn't know how short. But anyway, go check this stuff out. If you have any questions, talk to me on Twitter. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.